the University of Haripur.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Open and Distance Learning Program, the University of Haripur. I am Dr. Sumaira. Today I will discuss about the concept of nationalism and the evolution of two-nation theory among the Muslims of the subcontinent. Firstly, we have the term nationalism. Nationalism refers to strong sense of devotion and patriotism to one's nation and state. It became a powerful political movement during 18th and 19th century, particularly in European countries, and it also fostered a political movement in Asian and African countries which were colonized by the foreign powers. So, firstly, we have some key aspects of nationalism. The first key aspect of nationalism is shared identity. Shared identities are the shared beliefs that the inhabitant of a particular society or state or nation believe on some common culture and common history and language. But in case of diverse culture too, and in context of nationalism, they accept the diversity of culture, the diversity of ethnic and linguistic differences, because nationalism integrates diverse culture. As we have seen in our particular society, in Pakistan, we have different culture, but we embrace these diversities, linguistic, ethnic and cultural, due to the concept of nationalism, which is territorial bound. The second key aspect is sovereignty and self-determination. Sovereignty refers and sovereignty ensures self-determination. That means that the citizens of the state will govern themselves. They will formulate laws for themselves. No external power or no power within the state is authorized to formulate or to impose laws forcibly. Sovereignty guarantees the rule of the people through various means, through representation, through democracy, and through self-determination. The people will select who they want to be their ruler. So, sovereignty and self-determination are the key aspect of nationalism. It doesn't allow anybody or any authority or any foreign power to interfere into the internal matters pertaining to foreign policy matters or in other internal matters. So the third key aspect is territorial integrity. Nationalism also ensures territorial integrity. So the term nationalism or the concept is nationalism is territorial bound. A piece of land which is particularly territorial bound and gives the aspect of nationalism. So it ensures territorial integrity and it fosters a sense of unity among the citizens to secure their territorial boundaries, to ensure their territorial integrity. In case of war, in case of conflict with the neighboring country or with other powers, they will be united and they will fight to secure their territory. The next key aspect is national symbols. National symbols means anthems, some signs, and national emblems and national anthem. All these are included, and all these represent national identity and infused patriotism among the citizens. And the next is patriotism. Nationality fostered a sense of patriotism among the citizens. As we are Pakistani and we have sense of patriotism, the Americans have sense of patriotism as Americans, the Britishers and the Chinese and so on. All the citizens feel pride for being a nation of any particular state. And as I have discussed, that the state gives recognition, it shares commonalities, and it acknowledges, it gives acknowledgement. So the nationals too feel pride for acquiring nationality of that very nation state. So these all are key aspects of nationalism. Our next part of nationalism is we will discuss about the contributing factors. The contributing factors of nationalism during 18th and 19th centuries are diverse and different. Like we have seen French Revolution 1789 till 1799. It also provoked the citizens to mark an end the monarch system and absolute authority. And the period of enlightenment gave awareness, it gave consciousness, socio-political consciousness, socio-political awareness to the citizens of European countries. So the period of enlightenment provoked the citizens to raise their voices for nationalism, and it also helped to promote the concept of nationalism on the name of territory. And the next contributing factor was, of course, industrialization. This was the period of industrialization, late 17th and 18th century. Industrialization phase in European countries promoted enlightenment. It circulated money by building up various industries in European countries. So it transformed the overlook and the mindset and the culture and the overall perspective of European countries. And the next one is Romanticism. Romanticism refers to the love of poetry, music. It also promoted a sense of nationalism among the different nations of the world, and it also very helpful to change the global politics. The last contributing factor was a reaction to foreign powers. As we have experienced during late 19th and 20th century, there were colonies under foreign rules. We, the subcontinent, the inhabitant of subcontinent, spent 90 years under British rule. So in African and Asian countries, especially, it became a political movement among the citizens of or among the deprived segment of the society. So they adopted nationalism, particularly to remove colonization and to get rid from foreign rule and to get independence. Therefore, understanding the concept of nationalism is very crucial to understand the present political dynamics and political culture. So far, we have discussed advantages of nationalism. It is agreed that nationalism provoked patriotism, a sense of devotion to one's nation. It gives recognition, identity. It is very helpful for national unity and integrity, but it has many flaws and it has many disadvantages, because it promoted ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism means the people would like to ensure their ethnic identity on the basis of territory, and it created a sense of superiority complex among different nations. The superpowers, the first world countries, and the advanced society feel that they are superior nations as compared to third world countries, and they considered the nation of the third world countries as inferior. This happened due to the concept and due to the implementation of nationalism. And it also provoked conflict and war amongst the nation, because it created a sense of superiority complex, but it also developed a competition and among the nations. So it also provoked war among the nations. So it undermines global politics and cooperation, and it suppressed the deprived nations, economically poor nations, and politically polarization was also created due to the nationalism. And superpowers also manipulated the term of nationalism to suppress economically poor and deprived countries. So our next part of today's lecture is about two-nation theory, evolution of two-nation theory. We have also discussed in our very first lecture about the emergence, about the evolution of two-nation theory among the Muslim community of the subcontinent. Two-nation theory means there are two nations living on the same soil. And Sir Syed Ahmad Khan came to be known as the founder of two-nation theory. And first time he described that there are two nations living in the subcontinent. And it happened after Hindi-Urdu controversy during 1968 at the place of Banaras, when a full-fledged conflict or massacre erupted between Hindus and the Muslims on the issue of national language. The Muslims wanted Urdu as a national language of the subcontinent, and the Hindus wanted Hindi in place of Urdu, Urdu was prevailed as national language. So it was not an issue of language. Language reflects culture, it acknowledges history, and it represents overall cultural, historical beliefs. So it is an identity. Language is just not a means of communication. It's an identity. It reflects identity of a particular community or a particular society. So the Muslims were actually fighting to preserve their very identity. They wanted to preserve their historical heritage, their culture, their language, and their religion. So after this controversy, which is known as Hindi-Urdu controversy, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan changed his early ideology, or change his early thinking, or change his early perspective about these two communities of Hindus and the Muslims. During his early career, he believed that the Hindus and the Muslims are like two eyes on the same face. But after this controversy, he compelled to change his early thinking, and he believed that no, there are two nations. That's why Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, known as the father or the founder of two-nation theory. There is a misconception that Allama Muhammad Iqbal is the founder among the students or the young learners, but I want to make you very clear that Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the founder of two-nation theory. Yes, Allama Iqbal took this ideology and practically gave shape to this ideology. So it was a historical context, and in historical context we experienced such unfortunate events in which we have seen that the Muslims and the Hindus fought either to preserve their language or to secure political participation. So the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the early proponent of two-nation theory. After Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Allama Muhammad Iqbal took up the ideology. Two-nation theory was the ideology. It's a different idea. So Allama Muhammad Iqbal also presented it as a motivated ideology to secure or to attain somehow sovereignty within the British rule or after the withdrawal of British rule. So after Allama Muhammad Iqbal, after his death, our third reformist, our third dynamic leader was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who presented two-nation theory during Lahore Resolution. Lahore Resolution was passed. Lahore Resolution was based actually on the basis of two-nation theory. The Lahore Resolution, the whole proceedings reflected that the leaders of that time, the Muslim League leaders, presented two-nation theory, that the Muslims and the Hindus are different, and the provinces which are contiguous and in which the Muslims are living in majority should be grouped together to formulate or to form a different, separate homeland for the Muslims of the subcontinent. So this was an evolutionary theory within the subcontinent, and the Muslim of the subcontinent adopted it as a political movement. And circumstances leading to two-nation theory were, there were cultural differences, there were differences pertaining to religion, and there were economic disparities. As we know that the Muslims of that time were not literate. They refused to accept the system of education brought by the British government. They refused to attain modern scientific education or knowledge. So they lagged behind in the race, in the competition of education, literacy, and they were not able to compete and to acquire services in government sector, in army, or in other prestigious fields. So they were laborers, they were deprived, and they were bound to live under suppression and oppression of British and Hindu domination. So these were the factors which provoked their identity, I mean the Muslims' identity as Muslims, and they started a movement, political movement, on the basis of two-nation theory. So the consequences of nationalism and two-nation theory brought significant changes within the subcontinent. The subcontinent faced partition in 1947. And the concept of nationalism also provoked to eliminate colonialization of British. So the concept of nationalism, along with all its merits, it is carrying demerits. The concept of nationalism and two-nation theory brought significant changes, as I have discussed that the partition happened in 1947. The partition also brought huge migration, and millions of Muslims living across the border in India after partition, they migrated towards Pakistan. So there were communal violence across the border, and at the time of partitions there were massacre, there were conflicts between sometime between Hindus and the Muslims and Hindus and the Sikhs during the time of partition and during the time of migration. And India and Pakistan after 1947 went through 3 full-fledged wars, 1965, 1971, and still they don't have normal bilateral relations. So these were the consequences of nationalism and the two-nation theory among the Muslims of the subcontinent. And the further partition happened in 1971 when Bangladesh became a sovereign state after 1971 war between Pakistan and Bangladesh. So the two-nation theory and the consequences have profoundly shaped political, social, and cultural landscape of Indian subcontinent. The foremost leaders were Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. These were the proponents of two-nation theory, and Lahore Resolution was passed on the basis of the two-nation theory. And after long struggle of 7 years, from 1940 Lahore Resolution till 1947, Muslims attained their separate homeland named Pakistan. This was all about today's lecture. I hope you will get basic understanding about the term nationalism, its emergence and implementation, its merits and demerits, and the evolution of two-nation theory within the subcontinent and its consequences. This was all about today's lecture. Thank you so very much.